Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Space Station. We are absolutely ready for the event.
SpaceX, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Station, this is Benji Reed from SpaceX. How do you hear me?
Hello, Benji. We hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the space station in virtually and physically.
Thank you, Chris. It's an honor to join you guys today. And it's awesome to see all of you guys up there together. First, I just want to say thank you again to Bob and Doug and your families from all of us here at SpaceX, all of our locations, all of our partners, all of our vendors, everyone for trusting us to bring you up there. I hope your first day there has been great so far.
Hey, thanks, Benji. It's same back at you. You know, congratulations to the folks out at Hawthorne, McGregor, and at Kennedy. Just an incredible journey we've had the last couple days. A great day in space today, our first day of work on Space Station. But what a great ride on Dragon and Falcon 9 to get us here. Everything worked exactly the way we planned it to work, and that's a credit to the teams there in Hawthorne and McGregor and Kennedy. Just it's a pretty awe-inspiring trip so far, and very humbling, and just we're just so proud to represent SpaceX and NASA in this new next launch capability.
Absolutely. It's excellent to hear your voice, and it's excellent to just see you guys up there floating around and spinning Earth and doing all these great things. A number of our employees have asked questions that we'd like to throw your way here. Probably the first one, and you've had this in a different version before, but what did it feel like riding on Falcon 9?
You know, we certainly have talked about it, but it never gets old talking about riding on Falcon 9. Just from the time the engine's lit, the first 2.5 minutes to staging was about like we expected, except, you know, you can never simulate the G's. So as the G's built, you could certainly feel those. Also, what I thought was really neat was how sensitive we were to the throttling of the Merlin engines. That was really neat. You could definitely sense that as we broke Mach 1 and went transonic and broke Mach 1. We could definitely feel that. In fact, I said it to Bob, and then the next thing you know, the call was made, and we didn't even need to look at the speed. You could tell just by how the rocket felt. And so it's a very pure flying machine. And then I think the next thing that really stood out for me was first stage separation with the engine cut off, and that separation event going to 0 G for a split second, and then the Merlin vacuum engine lighting. That was a pretty neat event. That was a highlight of the ascent for me. And then once the MVAC started, then it was that kind of driving fast, very fast on a gravel road is how it felt the rest of the way up. A little bit of vibrations, not anything that was really unpleasant, but you certainly knew that there was a powerful engine behind you at the time, and that obviously took us all the way to orbit about 6 minutes later. And once again, you know, the G's and how the engine throttled to control the G's, and then straight to cutoff, and then just like with shuttle, you go from 3, actually in this case, we were more than 3 Gs to 0 Gs instantaneously, and we knew we made it to orbit.
That's awesome. Sounds like the ultimate ride in a Batmobile with a jet engine turned on. Another question that we had came about what was going through your mind when you were on the pad. We know that you guys are steely-eyed and focused on the operation, but what was some of the last things that you were thinking about just before launch?
I think for both of us, Benji, we really almost started the ride when we got to go for tanking. And so when the tanking operation started, Dragon and the Falcon 9 really came alive underneath us. It was a little bit different than our shuttle experience where we came to the vehicle tanked. And so as we marched through the loading countdown, I think when we got to 16 and a half minutes and we got started on the locks for the second stage, I think that we said, well, we haven't done this before because it was something new from what had happened just a few days earlier. And I think each one of the events, we just marked them off as, oh, we never did that before. Oh, we never did that before. And it was pretty cool kind of marching our way all the way uphill. And so all the way to the point where we saw 189 or so on the perigee, I think, and knew that we had safely made it into the first portion of our orbit and we're headed towards space station. I think we were excited, but I've said this before, and I'll say it again about the training team, just doing an excellent job. And when we started this adventure, I described it as my goal to make it like Groundhog Day. So it was very familiar as we marched through the various events, and we knew where to look next for the thing that was going to tell us that we were proceeding normally through the count, through the launch, and on into orbit all the way to space station. And they succeeded wonderfully in producing that desired Groundhog Day clarity as we went through the launch count. And of course, there's plenty of excitement when you ride a rocket, and we prefer the term as Demo 2,